Court summons Attorney General of the Federation Abubakar Malami to testify in Mayna's fraud case. The United Kingdom to return £4.2 million Ibori loot. And parliamentary staff shut down National Assembly over autonomy for states. Hello and welcome to News Now. I am Umi Adekunle. The Nigeria Labour Congress is set for a showdown with the federal and state governments over reported attempts to remove the issue of national minimum wage from the exclusive legislative list to concurrent. The union, as part of the decision reached after its emergency National Executive Council meeting on Tuesday, says it will embark on a nationwide protest on Wednesday to push home its demands. The NLC says it will resist any action aimed at making life more difficult for Nigerian workers amid prevailing global economic challenges. We move on now, and the British government has agreed to return to Nigeria £4.2 million, being part of the funds so far recovered from the family and friends of former Delta State Governor James Ibori. The British High Commissioner to Nigeria, Katrina Liang, who disclosed this in Abuja on Tuesday, said this is the first tranche of such planned returns. Liang, who spoke at a ceremony for the signing of a memorandum of understanding between both countries in Abuja, assured of more of such recoveries from the Ibori loot that will be returned to Nigeria in due course.
So how much is at stake? Well, this first tranche of money is £4.2 million. And this has been recovered from the friends and family of a certain former governor of Delta State, known to you all, Mr. James Ibori. He was trusted by the people of Delta State to be their governor for 2 terms. Sadly, he did not deliver on his mandate. He stole money that should have been used for roads, for hospitals, and for other developmental purposes. So the federal government of Nigeria's anti-graft agencies have been working very hard with us to investigate James Ibori, and he was eventually located and faced a criminal trial in the UK. He pleaded guilty in a UK court, and he was given a prison sentence of 13 years. Illicit finance and corruption impacts on delivery of the Sustainable Development Goals. It undermines rule of law, it hinders good governance, and can often have enormous environmental disbenefits.
Nigeria's Attorney General and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami, who signed for the country, disclosed that President Muhammadu Buhari has directed the returned loot to be deployed to the completion of the second Niger Bridge, the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, and the Abuja-Kano Expressway projects.
Both the Nigerian and British governments remain committed to all affirmative actions to combat corruption, illicit financial flows, ensure that looters do not find comfort or safe haven in our territories, and also to guarantee that the forfeited or recovered proceeds of corruption are deployed to the benefit of the people. Hence, in consonance with the existing framework or model engaged in the management of previous recoveries, the Federal Executive Council, under the able leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari, has directed that the instant repatriated funds should be deployed towards the completion of the following legacy projects. 1. The second Niger Bridge. 2. Abuja to Kano Expressway. And 3. The Lagos-Ibadan Expressway.
Joining us on the news now from Abuja to shed more light on this is Lanre Suraj, the Executive Director of the Human and Environmental Development Agenda Header. Mr. Lanre Suraj, thank you very much for joining us on the news. Now, another £4.2 million from Ibori loot. How exactly do you feel about this?
Oh, thank you for having me. I think this is also a cause to celebrate, really, but also at the same time, another very sad development for the country as a whole. It is not just for us to celebrate the repatriation of the funds that were originally stolen from the Commonwealth or the people, but it's also to feel so sad that we've only had leaders in the recent past, and possibly also in the current government, who are so pathologically committed to stealing the natural on national resources of the country, and also sending them through illicit financial flow to jurisdictions like the UK and the US and also Dubai. You can imagine for how long we've been at this case that we're talking about. This is not just a case of 5 years. You're talking about a case of over 10 years that is gone back and forth. And the cost that Nigeria must have incurred in the prosecution locally of James Ibori, who actually denied stealing the money while he was being prosecuted in Nigeria, only to go to the UK, like the UK representative said, to go and plead guilty. And that is also the sad reality of our judicial system. The judicial system and the judicial officers in Nigeria are not really committed to stopping the bleeding of the country by political office holders.
Well, and some people have said now they're of the opinion that the money should rather go to Delta state coffers and not the federal government, because the money was actually taken from state funds. Now, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, this is really unfortunate. I think the truth of the matter is that James Ibori, as the governor of Delta State, actually stole the money from Delta State. And it should have gone to Delta State. But part of the major challenge that we have, without being unnecessarily sentimental, is the fact that you don't have mechanisms in place in Delta State that would stop either the return of that money to James Ibori by the current leadership of the state, who are still subservient to James Ibori, who still sees James Ibori as political godfathers. With the control of the political machinery of Delta State by James Ibori, there's nothing to suggest that that money would not be returned to James Ibori, number one. Number two, in the course of the prosecution, there were reasons to find out from Delta State if Ibori actually took out money from the state. And the Delta State government, as at that time, in a bid to actually cover up for Ibori and save him from the conviction, openly said that the Delta State didn't lose any money. So no money was lost in Delta State. No money was stolen from Delta State. So now if you juxtapose those two positions with the sentiment that we're talking about, then you would find it difficult to want to support the claim that the money should actually be given to Delta State.
Mr. Lanre Suraj, we thank you very much for joining us on the news this evening. We'll move on now to the National Assembly, which was on a lockdown today as the Parliamentary Staff Association of Nigeria passed and staged a protest, making it difficult for people and lawmakers to access the Parliament building. The association is protesting against the refusal of state governors to grant financial autonomy to state legislators, despite constitutional provision and the presidential order approving it. TV360's Tunji Oye now reports.
President Muhammadu Buhari in May 2020 signed an executive order granting financial autonomy to state legislatures and judiciary. Section 121 of the Constitution also grants this autonomy to both the legislature and the judiciary. The autonomy has been a bitter pill for state governors to swallow, the reason why no state has granted the financial autonomy. This is the reason for this protest. The parliamentary staff say the governors have refused to let go the autonomy of both the legislature and the judiciary in the states because they want both arms of government to still be subservient to the executive.
We have converged here today to reach for our liberation, and reach indeed, we will reach it. We are not giving way until the leadership of the National Assembly, both chambers, comes out here and address us and assure us that as we live here, autonomy for the state houses of assembly indeed will be implemented. Else, we will occupy until autonomy comes.
The association moved from the main entrance of the National Assembly to the inner gate, threatening to shut down the National Assembly if the parliament does not address the issue.
We are standing here today to make sure that these funds are paid, because we cannot continue suffering. Working tirelessly to make sure that the parliament moves ahead. Yes. The executive has taken over as the first arm of government. They enjoy everything. The legislature, we are suffering. The judiciary, we are suffering. We need autonomy for judiciary and for legislature so that we can make good laws for the country. But we are being relegated to the background. We have not come, we have a constitution. And that constitution, they said they're waiting for executive order. We eventually got the executive order. And what happened? They met the president and they said they want to look at it again. I know they are just trying to delay.
The Governors Forum has been meeting, but yet to implement the executive order. The forum said it is still studying the order for about a year now.
I want to ask a question. If the governors are not ready to respect the law, what do they expect from us? They are showing us a bad example and we are going to follow. We have come here not to fight. But if they are saying we should fight, they will regret it. Because people have voted them, they have forget about people. So Plateau State chapter are ready to close down.
Please, meet with Senate President for us. Meet with Speaker of the House of Assembly, National Assembly for us. That we are here waiting. We want to hear from them. Where is Order 10? Is it kept in the House of Rock? Is it on the government houses in Nigeria? Governors? Where is Order 10? Order 10 is crying for execution. Order 10 is crying for implementation. People executive Order 10. We must allow it to stand. It must stand like the Rock of Gibraltar.
This protest, according to its organizers, is a warning by the association in conjunction with its affiliates across the federation. The next option, if their demands are not met, is a total shutdown of the parliament building. From Abuja, Tunji Oye, TV360 News.
The Federal High Court in Abuja has summoned the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, and the former acting chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Ibrahim Magu, to appear as witnesses in the ongoing trial of the ex-chairman of the defunct pension reform tax team, Abdurrashid Maina. Justice Okonabang issued the summon following an application that Maina, who is answering to a 12-count money laundering charge, filed for them to appear as defense witnesses in the matter. The subpoena also ordered the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, and others to appear before the court between March 9 and 11 to give their testimony. The first defense witness in the case, Ngozi Kaihuoma, while giving his evidence, alleged that EFCC under Magu misappropriated 222 property worth 1.63 trillion naira recovered by the Maina-led pension reform tax team. Iwoma also told the court that the AGF and the National Security Advisor met with Maina in Dubai in January 2016. The action against trafficking in person and smuggling of migrants in Nigeria in conjunction with the Network Against Child Trafficking, Abuse and Labor on Tuesday joined in marking International Women's Day. As part of activities to commemorate the day, the agencies in the fight against human trafficking took this campaign, or the awareness campaign, against the scourge to schools in Lugbe area of the FCT. Our correspondent Abisola Adebayo now reports.
The choice, Lugbe, a suburb of the Federal Capital Territory, for desensitization campaign is apt. It's a community that's heavily challenged in infrastructure, with young girls and boys deprived of many things. Residents are in dire need of the basic necessities of life, and it's a good hunting ground for child traffickers who deceive young girls and boys with stories of greener pastures abroad. This is why action against trafficking in persons and smuggling of migrants in Nigeria embarked on this awareness campaign to schools to acquaint the children with the ills of human trafficking and measures to curb it.
When FIAP said they have sensitization for schools, I told them my terrain is the best. They should come over. This will help us because there are so many children here that I notice are trafficked. I noticed they are trafficked, so I told them, I said it would be best for them to come and sensitize this community for me, because this is an unreached community where people don't come, people are scared, people are afraid. They will say, why are you in that community? Is that the best place for you to be? But to me, yes, that's the best place for me to be, because the children needs me, the children needs us, the children needs Nigeria to come in and help them.
The sensitization program is all about prevention activities against trafficking in persons and smuggling of migrants. So that's the main reason why we are here. In the next 2 weeks now, we will be in another school within the remote areas. You know, these are areas, as you can see, this community. This is a community where we don't expect, people, to be in school. As you can see them, most of them are in the quarry, most of them are in the tipper garage there. But this NACTAL association has been able to bring the students together, and we want to pass the message to them, because trafficking is not good for them.
The message for the children and also for the parents is that we should all be stronger together to fight against trafficking. Traffickers, they are real. They are not strangers to us. They can come in the form of people that are really very close to us. They are very deceptive. We want to put a stop to it. And for the traffickers out there, we are saying stop. It is high time you stop.
Trafficking in persons remains a societal ill that calls for concerted effort to address it. It's believed that if stakeholders can together fight this menace, trafficking will be drastically checked. The sensitization campaign is funded by the European Union and implemented by the Spanish Foundation.
The chairman and chief executive of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, Mohammed Buba Marwa, has warned commanders, officers and men of the agency against the detention of suspects beyond the limit allowed by law. Marwa also prohibits the arrest of a relation, spouse or acquaintance of a suspected drug offender, often referred to as hostage arrest. The directives were contained in the reviewed operations and investigations guidelines to all commands of the agency across the country. The guideline says the order has become imperative in view of the current democratic dispensation in the country and the need to adhere strictly to the constitutional provisions regarding arrest and detention of suspects, while reaffirming that NDLEA personnel remain empowered to arrest and carry out search whenever there is reasonable ground to suspect that a drug-related offense has been committed. He, however, warned that detention of persons for purposes of obtaining information and intelligence without such a person committing any drug-related offense is prohibited. Well, let's take a short break here, but still to come, the Lagos State government receives COVID-19 vaccines. Details on that after this break.
Give him his shoes somewhere here, his phone and everything.
Don't do like that today, no.
Thank you. So, bye-bye. Hey, Oga, where do you think you are going? Home.
You never shake body.
Eh?
You never shake body.
Shake body?
Wait.
See? Huh?
You never shake body.
Eh? Shake body. I don't get combo for my body.
You go take for here. Sit down there.
Down. What's this man still doing here?
They say I do shake body. I shake body, I shake body. They say I do this. And I say I don't get.
Glad to have you back. Here is a quick reminder of some of our top stories tonight. The Nigeria Labour Congress is set for a showdown with the federal and state governments over reported attempts to remove the issue of national minimum wage from the exclusive legislative list to concurrent. The union, as part of the decision reached after its emergency National Executive Council meeting on Tuesday, says it will embark on a nationwide protest on Wednesday to push home its demands. We also told you that the National Assembly was on lockdown today as Parliament Parliamentary Staff Association of Nigeria states the protest making it difficult for people and lawmakers to access the Parliament building. And in case you missed any of our news bulletin or for more updates, do log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us across all our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, and Google Plus at TV360 Nigeria. On Facebook, we're at TV360 Online. The Lagos State government says it has received doses of the Oxford AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccines from the federal government. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu disclosed this while speaking at the 2021 International Women's Day celebration organized by the Ministry of Women Affairs and Poverty Alleviation on Tuesday. Sanwo-Olu said the vaccines were received at 4 a.m. on Tuesday and kept in a safe place. He assured residents that the state would soon commence the vaccination in line with the scheduled guidelines laid down by the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency. Meanwhile, Ogun State's Dapo Abiodun is the first governor to receive his first dose of the vaccine. Abiodun was inoculated on Tuesday evening alongside his deputy Noimot Salako Oyedele and 2 frontline healthcare workers. Analysis released by the United Nations Children's Fund UNICEF has revealed that the enormous impact of COVID-19 has had on women in some countries could result in an additional 10 million child marriages this decade. The study, which was released on International Women's Day, noted that the school closures, economic stress, service disruptions, pregnancy and parental deaths due to the pandemic are putting the most vulnerable girls at increased risk of child marriage. The study added that the trend, if confirmed, would represent a serious retreat from recent years of progress against child marriage. The report further called for countries to reopen schools, implement legal reforms, ensure access to health and social services while providing measures to protect families. We'll take another short break here and return with business updates. Don't go away.
Hello? Yeah, I found your wallet in front of a supermarket. Meet me at Apple Junction. Yes, I'll be waiting for you.
Now we find out. 2 of us.
Thank you very much, officer. You know, it's surprising that men like you still exist in the police force.
Yes, so... Oh, yes.
This is just a token of my appreciation.
Oh, no, you don't need to do this. We are only doing our job.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
You're welcome.
Now I know police is really my friend.
Yes.
Friend. Hey. Okay, which came up with this one? I don't understand.
You know your problem. You are greedy. I'm a policeman who is doing his job. All forms of corruption in the force, not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
Welcome back. We now join Abisola Adebayo for the latest development in the world of business. Over to you now, Abisola.
Thank you very much, Oyin. Welcome to Business News. Nigeria recorded 7.37 trillion naira foreign trade deficit in 2020. Latest figures from the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, has revealed. The NBS disclosed in its Foreign Trade Statistics report for fourth quarter of 2020 that the total trade in 2020 stood at 32.42 trillion naira. According to the NBS, Nigeria's trade deficit rose by 32.45% from 1.8 trillion naira as of the end of second quarter to 2.38 trillion naira in the third quarter. It added that on an annual basis, total trade was valued at 32.42 trillion naira in 2020, or 10.3% less than the value recorded in 2019. Moving on, the Lagos State government has vowed to ensure that the enforcement of its traffic laws against heavy articulated vehicles parking along Apapa Port access roads in its move to bring sanity on that corridor. This is as the state government revealed that it has impounded about 200 trucks on the Apapa axis in the last 48 hours for flouting the directive of the newly introduced electronic call-up system and indiscriminate parking on the road. Following the return of trucks to the access road, which has contributed to a gridlock along the Tinkan port as well as the Ijora end, the Special Assistant to the Lagos State Governor on Transportation, Oluwatoyin Fayinka, during an interview, said he is hopeful that trucks and tanker drivers would not compromise the entire agreement reached before the introduction of the Nigerian Port Authority's new electronic call-up system. We'll take a break here and return with stock market review. The Nigerian stock market relapsed today with a 1.80% decline, the most in one day since December 2020. And this is raising fears that investors may need to approach the rest of the week with cautious optimism. The all-share index, as you can see right here, declined further to close the day at 38.863 basis points. Market capitalization also lose over 300 billion naira to settle at 20 trillion naira today. Shares in 26 companies fell today, while 14 advanced, and another 100 recorded no trades at all. On our losers list, as we can see right here, Etana Oil and UBA shed 10%, the maximum allowed on the bourse. Carverton and Nigeria Flour Mill PLC rounded up our losers list with a 79 kobo loss. Nevertheless, on the flip side, which is our gainers list today, some medium capitalized Nigerian stocks have printed returns in the last few days that will make Bitcoin and other top crypto assets envious. Stocks like Champion Breweries, as you can see right here, is the best performing Nigerian stock asset, printing gains of about 98% in the last 2.5 months amid buying interest by investors, and it maintained gains from previous session today as it topped our gainers list. It's followed by Nemet, and after Nemet we have Cotix, then Dangote Sugar, who completed our list of 4 right there. And today our market summary sees a total volume of 545 million units of shares valued at 9 billion naira, as you can see right here, and that exchange ends in 5,307 deals. Moving on now to our foreign scene, the global market today. The global market today is actually recording positives. The FTSE reversed early losses to post modest gains today as investors were buoyed by optimism about global economic recovery and more U.S. stimulus. The Dow Jones is also on the positive side today, recording a 0.92% gains. And despite, and after the relative weak economic numbers from Japan, the Nikkei managed to rise by 0.99% today. That's all on Stock Market Review. It's back to Oyin for the rest of the news.
Thank you very much for that update, Abisola. Move now to the foreign scene, where the death toll from a series of explosions in a military base in Equatorial Guinea's main city of Bata has jumped to 98. According to officials, about 615 people were wounded in the Sunday's blast, which started with a fire at the military base in the coastal city of Bata. President Theodore Nguema blamed the disaster on negligence related to the handling of dynamite and said the explosions damaged almost all homes and buildings in Bata. The blast comes as Equatorial Guinea, or is coming at a time when Equatorial Guinea is suffering a double economic shock as a result of the coronavirus pandemic and a drop in the price of crude oil. Well, it's now time for Entertainment Report on News Now.
The Federal High Court in Lagos has restrained Wale Adenuga Productions Limited from producing or publishing the television series The Village Headmaster, pending the hearing of a case filed by Olujimi Olushola, the first son of the original writer and executive producer of the drama, Olusegun Olushola. Olushola, who is claiming proprietary rights to the series, named Wale Adenuga Production, its owner Wale Adenuga, and the Nigerian Television Authority as the defendants in the suit. The presiding judge then directed the defendants to deliver to the court all documents and invoices related to the production, distribution, importation, or public broadcast of the Village Headmaster series without the appropriate permission. Olakunle Churchill and his wife Rosie Mira have welcomed a baby boy. The businessman and philanthropist shared the big news via his Instagram page with a message expressing his excitement on Tuesday, March 9. Recall that back in February, Churchill revealed his well-hidden marriage to his PA Rosie Mira on her birthday, where he described her as Mrs. Churchill, shortly after his messy divorce from ex-wife Tonto Dike. Well, congratulations to the new parents. And that's all we have on the entertainment segment of News Now.
Well, that's the latest update on News Now at this time. We thank you very much for watching. I am Oyi Adekunle.